Now, the first thing I'm going to do is basically connect with an existing user that we've previously created, our root level user. Once I'm connected and authenticated, the first thing I'm going to do is create my security officer, which enables user admin role. In this case, I'm creating it on the admin database. Now, this is the first user you should always create. And why is that? Well, the main reason for this is that this particular role allows the user to do all operations around user management. But him himself is not able to do anything related with data management or data modifications. Cannot create or write, cannot list databases, cannot do anything around database administration aside from creating and updating or reviewing database users. This is quite important if you want to ensure that there are specific users in your organization that are not allowed to do anything with data in your system, just managing other users that themselves can create the data. So the command for doing that is the create user. As always, we create a user, we are calling here security officer, passing a password, the roles where it's going to be created, and the command gets successfully created. Now, next, I'm going to create a user that is allowed to actually administer the database. Yep, you got it. It's our DB admin role, a user that is created using this role. Now, the list of privileges that this particular role enables is quite long, but you can get a feeling of what it can actually do. All the statistical data, kill cursors, list indexes, list databases and collections, collect statistics on the collections, do collection modifications, convert to capped. There's a variety of different operations that this built-in role allows the user to operate. But again, similar to the user admin role, this role does not have the ability to read any user data at all, or write data for that fact. Everything that is related with DDL, data definition language, this user will be able to perform. Everything that is related with DML, data modification language operations, he will not be able to do. This is to prevent the DBA to go in and modify data inadvertently. Does not stop him from dropping collections though, because that's a DDL operation. But he cannot remove specific fields from a document or even create new documents in a collection. Let's go ahead and do that. So here I have my DBA user with some password, and the role that I've given him on the database m103 is role dbadmin. Now, if you look closely to this operation, I'm doing something quite tricky. I'm using the database admin to create a user on admin, but granting a role of dbadmin on m103 database. Although this might sound a little bit strange, this is actually a recommended approach. All users should be created on the database admin for simplicity reasons. That means that the database admin will be used to authenticate the users that we create. That said, it might not be needing to access the database admin at all for doing what it's supposed to do. So if he wants to be administrator on m103, the role of dbadmin should only be granted to m103. Roles can also vary between databases. I can have a given user with different roles on a per database basis. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do that to this database user. Now, to do that, I can just simply use this grant roles to user, where I select the user, which is my DBA that I recently created. I'm going to give it a database playground where this particular user will be the DB owner. Once I do this, the role DB owner is the database owner, and therefore it can do any administrative action on the database. That also means that this role combines all privileges of read-write, DBadmin, and user admin roles. That said, any user which is granted DB owner over a database can actually do pretty much anything he wants. It can read-write, it can DBadmin, and it can even user admin on that same database. So you can interpret this DB owner role as a meta role, one that combines several other built-in roles that MongoDB provides. And we can see that by running this command, roles info, where we want to know what DB owner is on the DB playground. We can also say to show the privileges of this particular role. Once we do that, we can have the list of all different actions and resources, meaning the privileges of each role that this particular role inherits for himself. Let's recap. We've looked into the structure of the roles and how they are defined. We've seen the list of built-in roles and how they are logically grouped together. And finally, we've seen how to create and grant roles to users using the built-in roles.